Annabelle Creation is the fourth film in the Conjuring universe, and it is a prequel to a prequel, and somehow it's actually really good.
We thought helping the girls could be our penance.
This is our new orphanage.
Wow, this is as big as a castle. But we ended up giving it just what it wanted.
You need help?
I can manage it.
So for a bit of a background, I'm a huge fan of the Conjuring films. Like, they're some of my favorite horror films ever. But I hated Annabelle. Like, when I first watched Annabelle, actually the only time I watched it, like, I was thinking about walking out in the opening scenes with how bad the actors and dialogue were. And, some of the later devil stuff in the movie was slightly entertaining. So, after watching this, I kind of want to give that first movie another shot, even though pretty much everyone says that's not very good. So, this one was directed by David F. Sandberg, and he previously directed Lights Out last year, which was another pretty good horror film. And I think he really has an excellent grasp on, like, light and darkness, and foreground and background. Because, like, throughout this film, like, even though it's not a Lights Out film, they have some lights out sort of scares where, like, things are knocking the lights out, turning the lights out, or you see things in the background and things come out of the darkness, and it's all very effective and excellent. However, there are a lot of jump scares, and I generally, the James Wan style of jump scare I really enjoy, because he doesn't really do fake jump scares. It usually says you may do one or two at the beginning. But, generally, a jump scare has to be a real scare. It has to be something scary that's there. And he usually doesn't overuse them that much. And this one is right on the verge of being too much, of being too many jump scares. Especially in the beginning, so there are some annoying fake ones. And, I really think the more effective scares in this movie were, like, the creepy ones. Because, like, there's some moments that are really creepy when things are about to happen, or you notice something in the corner, and there's some really cool stuff with that. And I wish there was more of that and a little bit less of the jump scares. But I didn't think the jump scares were that effective. I never was really startled at all. And I think that's partly, the only one that was kind of startled was one of the earlier jump scares, and that was just because it's a loud boo. And I don't know if it's because, like, they were really obvious. Like, the music would quiet down and be about to go something and be a jump scare. So it's like you prepare yourself and it's about to happen. But, as a whole, it's an excellent horror film. It also, surprisingly, actually connects to the previous prequel film, Annabelle. And, it'd be easy for this to just kind of be like, to rewrite the things. Like, everyone knows that people didn't like it, so let's rewrite it. But they actually managed to connect it to the previous film in, like, a very creative way. And there's even, like, toward the end, there's like a little Easter egg for the actual real life story of the Annabelle doll. So the basic setup for this is that Anthony LaPaglia is the father, and Miranda Otto is the mother, and they have this little daughter, B, or Annabelle, and there's a tragic accident, and then they were doll makers, and they had this doll that is created, and they tried the things to make it so that they could still see their daughter, and something found them that may not have been their daughter. And then this takes place like a decade later, where they think that everything has been solved. That the house is fine now, it's safe, and they can have as a repayment for the church for taking care of a problem, they're gonna have, like, turn their house into, like, an orphanage, and have all these young girls come and with a nun and they live there. And, well, let's say that the power in that doll kind of fed on some of the fears and everything the girls have, and kind of manipulated people into doing things that are pretty stupid but are really well crafted in the movie. So there are 6 of the orphan girls, but you really only need to focus on two, and that's Lulu Wilson and Tabitha Bateman, and like they're best friends. And Lulu Wilson, I think, is the one actually from the other prequel horror film that was much better than the original, the Ouija. And the other one is Talitha Bateman. She plays one girl that had like polio or something like that, so like she has trouble walking, and she is probably the weakest of the group of girls, and perhaps the most easily possessed. And they do a lot of cool scenes with that. It's like with her, she's injured, like she has trouble getting by, and she has like they have this chair and go up and down the stairs, like a mechanical chair. And there's some cool scenes with the wheelchair too. And I thought, like that a lot of stuff with her is very effective. And like the kids, they're all really good. And I think that's really a clear sign that it's a great director, is when that you can get good acting out of kids. And like I really have no complaints about them. They're all really good. I mean, they could have done a little bit more with some of them, like especially they're like the two younger, and then one younger ones are best friends. Then they have two like older ones that look like they're almost 18, and they're like a little bit of bullies, but they have some cool stuff too. Then they have the two in the middle, which just completely disappear. You barely ever even notice. And I really appreciate how this setting up this Conjuring universe. And I know sometimes I might be a little annoyed by it, like all these film companies want to make this universe, but it works for this because you have a set of rules for all these movies. And I like that, because like so many times horror films, they play with the rules too much, and like things don't work out. Like to get the scares, they break the rules, or they do other things with them. But these, they have a clear set of rules, and they're pretty much brought about the real medium and exorcist of the that these stories are based upon, and that there are demons. And heaven and hell toward demons, and they want to come onto the earth and possess the weak. And a lot of times they'll use like a conduit, like an item as a conduit, and if you kind of believe in them, or if you interact with them, they grow stronger. And the more fear, the more things happen, the stronger they get. And this film uses it really well, because especially and it really is cool because the doll is not evil. Like, I mean, it's something that is moving the doll, something that is like using the doll. And I really like how they did that. Essentially, this is this demon there. And they also even have a little bit that there is that nun is there from the previous Conjuring movie. And it's a little bit of a setup like the Avengers sort of thing, like when someone comes in like and kind of like connects the films together. But like it's kind of cool that like you see that maybe there'd be almost a prequel to a prequel to a prequel, because the nun, Stephanie Sigmund, that's Sister Charlotte, like she showed the picture of her from when she was at the nunnery, and the guy looks at it and sees the nun in the shadows. So that maybe this nun brought the evil demon nun like along with her somehow, that it was following her. So you could have some story with that. I think they're doing the Nun movie next, or I don't know, maybe the next Conjuring movie. I'm not sure, but it's effective, and it's not quite as scary as the Conjuring movies. Again, like the Conjuring movies they're better films, but I really love this movie. It's a really great horror film that's a lot of fun, and you really see that working though with the how it works, how the thing is possessing things and like trying to live out your fears. And because like some of the girls are afraid of the mom, which is she stays in her room and rings a bell, and she has like a doll mask on half her side of her face, so that like there's something that tries to reach in and scare them, looking like the doll face. And it's like another thing, there's like a scarecrow. And there are different things that that it's more whatever this demon is using their fears to try to make itself stronger. And they really built to a climax in the film that was really impressive, because that it keeps building and building and getting stronger. and that's why it can do the things at the end. And the end, you can definitely see why it was an R-rated movie. Like, up until the end, like, you would kind of think, why is this R-rated? But then when you get there, it's like, oh, okay, that's why. I think they could have gone even further, but I mean, they didn't want to do that. Then generally, they aren't hard R, all the Conjuring films. So, you know, I would definitely recommend this film. You know, it's especially if you like horror films, if you like the Conjuring films. If you were worried about Annabelle because, you know, the first Annabelle wasn't that good, I think you should definitely check this out. You know, it's a great horror film if you don't mind some jump scares. And, you know, it's a really kind of effective haunted house movie. They do a lot of cool things with the house, and overall, it's a really entertaining horror film that I would highly recommend. So I give it like an 8.5 out of 10, maybe 8.75 out of 10. And it's a great film, so check it out if you get a chance. Thanks for watching, and you can check out my other video playlists around my head, or subscribe to me over here.